US Season 47, Episode 12. For anyone who hasn't watched the show, there are massive spoilers ahead. In today's episode, Sue's game, down and dirty or just saving face? Teenie goes trigger happy and goes full cancel culture on Sam. Will it work or backfire? Operation Italy, is it a master gameplay or much ragu about nothing? If you missed the episode, you can catch all the action on your local streaming services. Survivor US Season 47, Episode 12, breakdown coming up.
Hello everybody.
Hey, hello everyone. Sorry we've been away for a little while. We've been sick. But we are back with
We're
the latest
a couple,
episode.
So when she gets sick, I get sick, we go down, everything's over. The whole pod has been away. We're so sorry. So we're a little bit behind, but we're going to try and make up this week and record as much as we can to catch up before the holiday season. Hope everyone is well. And yeah, we've got a lot to get into. Operation
Yes. Well, it
Italy.
has been, I think the last few episodes have been very, very exciting. A lot has happened. So obviously we are on episode 12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
we are charging towards the end. There's only like 3 episodes left. It's almost over. I can't believe it.
I
Like,
know.
it feels rushed. It feels a bit unexpected and jarring. I thought we were going to have more time to get settled into this final group, but yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention, I think the episode that had just landed, which we're not going to talk about today, that was a double episode. So that's got a lot to talk about. So today we are just focused on episode 12.
Yeah.
The main gust of it, I guess, is Operation Italy, I guess.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning, which is at the beginning, rewinding back in history. Kyle has just left. And everyone is sitting, the underdog alliance, which is actually made up of the majority, which is so weird. Like, the minority is actually the majorities. Hello.
Yeah.
They're celebrating Kyle going, and they're saying, you know, we're looking good now. Everyone has a chance to win now. Everyone has a chance to win challenges. And, yeah, it's interesting because I think, yes, Kyle is gone, but now a massive shield is gone, and so it's not a good thing for a lot of their gameplays, I think. And it opens you up, but it also makes a lot of people vulnerable that were not vulnerable before.
Yeah.
It makes moves a lot more transparent. When
Yeah.
you have a shield, it disguises a lot of those moves that you're trying to make because everyone is always looking at that shield,
Yeah.
Kyle. So you can do those moves. So it's interesting. I don't think, yeah.
Well, it seems like, I think now that Kyle's gone, I think Rachel seems to have emerged to be like the big player of the season.
Yeah. And why is that? Like, I think the perception has shifted so quickly after she won a couple of challenges, after she did that move at Tribal where she played the shot in the dark and then faked it, but she was at the bottom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Remember that the Alliance only, the Tribal only a few episodes ago, where she was about to go home with all of the Blue Tribe, and because of Soul's move, she was rescued.
Yeah.
She gets pulled out of that. She turns around and gets rid of Soul. She plays her idol and Soul, her shot in the dark to fake out the move, and she realizes she's safe. Ever since then, the perception of her has shifted completely. She's gone from...
Yeah. Well, I think maybe because she's always been at the bottom, so she's kind of had to scramble, but she's still in the game. But I think mainly because she is such a great social player. Like, she seems to get along very well with people. Like, she's not only social, but strategic as well. And we've often seen in a case where maybe a player is social, but they're not super strategic, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, maybe say... You know, like maybe Gabe, he's very strategic,
Yeah.
but I think socially he probably doesn't have the same game that Rachel has.
Let's compare him directly with Andy. Okay, because those two I think are very interesting because like Rachel is perceived as the leader of the game so far.
Well, leader of the underdog alliance as well, yeah.
And she's perceived as the winning player so far, the one who's playing the best game.
Yeah.
However, Andy is perceived as what she calls a nothing burger later on. Not in this episode, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. But he is perceived as having no game. And the players are openly disrespecting him to his face, saying, you haven't done anything, you're ineffectual, yeah, everyone's got it over you. But the edit that we're seeing, the actual footage of the episodes that we have seen over the past 4 or 5 episodes have focused so largely on Andy's efforts, the work that he's done, the relationships that he's made. It's a totally different narrative.
Yeah, I think so.
We're watching a different show to what they are playing, which is very disconnecting and dissatisfying. I think that's a flaw in the edit, and I think that's a problem with the way the show's constructed. Because we need to be more intimately connected to what's going on in the show rather than what the editors are trying to tell us, which is a different thing.
Yeah, so I think maybe like Andy, because he can appear a little bit like clumsy and bumbling. So maybe in the tribe, you know, he maybe is not seen as a big contributing player.
Yeah.
I think to the living conditions, but on camera, he is very watchable.
He's great. He always gets all the best confessionals. He's named all the episodes.
Yeah, he's got great lines. He's very funny.
And because we're always getting his perspective, his opinion on every incident. You know, something happens, we hear from Andy. Something doesn't happen, we hear from Andy. Someone goes to tribal, we hear Andy's take on it. And so it really has, for the last 4 episodes, been Andy's story.
Yeah.
So when suddenly the players are saying Andy has done nothing, it seems very jarring to us as an audience, because we're just like, what are they watching? What are we watching?
Yeah.
There's a real disconnect between what's happening on the island and to what we are experiencing. I think that's an issue with this season's edit. But tell us if you feel differently. I don't know. When I heard them saying, Andy, you haven't done much, I'm like, what are we watching? You know, what are we watching? What are we doing here? Because everything that we've been fed to date has been Andy, Andy, Andy.
Yeah, that's
Weird.
true. I know.
But I guess we'll get into that as the episode goes on. But
yeah, I think I'm reminded maybe of like so I've got a jewelry label and I've worked with like influencers before, and I've noticed like sometimes what you see on like Instagram is not actually like the real person. Like, you know, like a lot of times like some of the influencers I've worked with, they seem very outgoing or very confident on camera, like on Instagram, but then when you actually meet them in person, they're actually quite introverted, maybe. So I think sometimes there can be a disconnect between how you perceive or how you articulate yourself on camera when you're shooting versus like off camera.
That's cool. That's
which
fine.
I think, as Andy has said, he's actually played a super low-key game. He wanted to be seen as the bottom player of the tribe.
Yep.
And he's actually done that.
He's done that great.
He's done that well. Yeah, but it's just that he's so charismatic on camera. I think that's where maybe the disconnect comes from.
And that he is perceived as not having earned any points yet. But to us as the audience, we feel like he is the leading, you know, the lead dog.
Well, actually, only maybe to, I don't know, to you and me, but I think maybe quite a lot of people, as we've seen on forums, have maybe not liked Andy's game so much.
Fair
so
enough, yeah,
maybe we are in the
interesting.
minority.
And so we get to tribal, so we get back to the tribe, and, you know, Sam is sitting there saying, okay, now it's firmly on me. The big challenge beast, Kyle, is gone. Now I'm the big challenge beast left. Dude, you are not the next challenge beast, bro. You haven't won anything. Next challenge beast up is, like, Rachel, okay?
Yeah,
you are firmly down the pecking order in terms of athletic ability, Sam. I'm sorry, man. Something about you know, playing in the band camp didn't translate to your athletic prowess. He looks the part, he seems the part because he's a big guy, strong guy, but he hasn't done that well in challenges.
No,
Survivor's
he hasn't done as well, I think.
Survivor's a different beast, man.
Yeah.
It's a different game. Let's talk about something that has flooded the forums and taken up the minds and souls of everybody in America and the world of late. Sue's face. Okay. Let's talk about Sue's face. I haven't got any stills of it, but Sue's face, it's problematic. What is going on?
It's quite dirty, I think. I think maybe in contrast to everyone else's face, which is quite scrub clean, considering they are on an island. I guess they don't have mirrors as well too. Sue's face always looks like there's dirt on it. But to be honest, like sometimes it actually looks quite good when it's like just on her cheeks, and it kind of like accentuates her cheeks.
She looks like a dirty old troll next to all these people who, like Genevieve looks spotless. Her teeth are so white, her skin is flawless, and they're letting our poor girl they're doing her dirty. Are they not telling her, hey Sue, you got something on your cheek there, sweetie, you got something in your teeth? No one's helping her out. I'm mad at the others. I'm not mad at Sue. I really like Sue. I just feel bad that no one else is helping her out. Just saying, hey dear. Like Caroline's her bestie. She should be there saying, hey, you got something on your cheek, Sue. Let me help you out here. Smear, smudge.
Yeah. I think, to be honest,
You're on a TV show.
I know, but I don't think Sue minds that much. Because otherwise she would probably make a lot more effort to, get her face clean. But I think maybe she thinks, okay, I'm like the oldest one here. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she wants to be seen as like, hey, I'm actually doing some work. I'm down and dirty. I'm not afraid to, like get dirty, get in the dirt.
Clearly.
Yeah, get into the suit and make the fire. So that's her way of like, her way of, I guess, assimilating into the tribe.
Assimilating into the dirt. Oh my goodness. You're on TV. You want to look your best. People on Instagram and on the forums, Twitter, everyone's talking about poor Sue's face.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel sorry for the poor lady. Woo! It's tough.
It's tough, yeah.
Anyway, so we see Teeny and Genevieve having the most awkward conversation ever, where Genevieve says, oh, if I were, to vote tomorrow, she's clearly trying to paint Rachel as the threat, and she says something that's pretty innocuous, like, if we were going to go to, jury tomorrow, Rachel would probably win, and Teeny gets all huffy and puffy about it, and upset, and like...
Yeah, it's interesting. What do you think about Teeny's kind of like behavior this episode? Because it's kind of like changed a little bit from
it's a different side of Teeny
we have seen. Yeah,
I've always seen Teeny as being the most amicable and amiable person. She is so nice and easygoing. When Rome and Sol were arguing, she was the mediator. Oftentimes she's been the voice of reason and sanity.
And she has been emotional, but I think she's actually been very articulate in the way she expresses her emotions. I've actually
I feel
always
like this episode,
admired that.
We've seen things get to her a little bit.
Yeah.
Things are getting a bit tough. She talked about it in the last episode about, her own mental health and how tough it is on the island being, your identity gets constricted, clearly, You're on a tribe of people that aren't your own types of people.
Yeah.
And they're not the kind of people you hang out with every day, and you have to play this role. It must be tough, man.
Yeah, because it seems like now there's like this kind of like almost, not say vengeance, but she's got this grievance with Sam, who is probably very much,
and
I guess,
Genevieve.
Very much the opposite of what Teeny is. He's like she says, she's like the high school jock. He probably represents to her a lot of I guess
identity
maybe
politics.
Maybe like people who she might have encountered in
Let's
like
save
high
that.
school. Yeah.
Let's save that for later. We're gonna get into that later when Teeny loses it after the challenge. Can we save it for later?
Okay, let's save it.
Let's save it. Otherwise, I'm gonna forget everything I have to say. I've got it all lined up. Okay, so let's get to the challenge, I guess. Where Sam wins it. He should win it. It's basically basketball at the end. There's no reason why he couldn't win it, shouldn't win it. Not good at immunity challenges, but as he said, pretty good at reward challenges. They're pretty much the same and similar types of challenges, but he's not winning them. And he wins it, and then he comes to pick the people that he's going to take, and he goes Andy and Genevieve. And this is a very sweet moment, I think, because
it's very nice.
I really like that he picked Andy.
Yeah.
He acknowledges that he hadn't been as kind to Andy maybe earlier on and hadn't managed their relationship, and that's why maybe Andy felt compelled to turn against Sam.
Yeah.
Because they were working together, but then Andy orchestrated that blindside on Sierra. And I think natural human behavior for Sam would have been to say, F you, man. I thought you're my bro. We're not bros anymore. But the fact that he is able to be, to mend that relationship and contemplative and to bring it to a resolution. Yeah,
I think so. I think it was
Sam,
very nice.
With Andy, it shows real maturity.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
And good gameplay too.
Very good gameplay. I know Teeny thinks that was like the worst gameplay ever, but to be honest, I think it was great. If without it, Operation Italy would never have existed.
Turned out to be the right move, right?
Yeah, and you can tell like how shocked Andy was
Andy's like
at being
so
picked, because
touched.
you can tell he's just like, he's never been, picked for anything.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy I feel like has become accustomed to being overlooked, which is a shame because, well, after this show, he's going to get a lot of shine. But, but at the same time, when he does get shine, he gets a little bit, he goes over the top.
He's like,
woohoo! He goes a bit woohoo. And Genevieve, she's the other person to get picked.
Yeah.
Now, I get it why everyone gets so emotional, but come on, man. It's only 3 weeks and people are already crying. As soon as they say why are they so upset about this point? in the challenge? Is it
Well,
is it the
definitely
reward
has-
or is it the letters from
Well,
home?
I think it's definitely the letters. I think. I mean, people have had rewards before, but I think the one that made this different was definitely the letters. I guess you can imagine. I mean, if you're on an island, you know, you've had to kind of like lie and scheme.
Yeah.
You know, there's really nothing to do except to like find food, eat, you know, sleep. You know,
Are
lie
letters
and
from home
scheme.
that good? Would you be this happy about getting a letter from
I
home?
think so. I think I think if you were on Survivor and you know you would be crying, you know, if you were like you know about
If
to
I-
get a letter from me, maybe a photo of
Oh,
like our
you
dog
wish.
and cats. Yeah.
If I got the bolognese,
please.
I'd be crying. Okay, for me, I thought they were. Okay, for me, the Italian food, that's the real reward. Letters from home after 3 weeks away. I mean, come on. I get it if it was like 2 months. That's a big portion of your life, but 3 weeks. I was just
Honey,
surprised
you
at
can't
how.
even go one night without like seeing your cat and your dog. So like yeah.
Okay, fine. Maybe I would. Okay, but what I'm just amazed at is how emotionally readily open everyone was at this point. How upset everyone got. How
Yeah.
emotional they were. It was quite a surprise. I think as soon as Jeff said letters from home, people were on their knees crying, and they reacted very emotionally about not getting picked. And this was a really tough choice
Yeah.
for Sam. He was damned if he did, damned if he
Yeah.
didn't. This
Yeah.
was a setup. Like, there were more ways to make people upset than there were to make people happy, and I
Yeah.
really don't envy him this position.
Yeah, and I think he acknowledges that okay, this is a really tough, you know, like I mean, he has to pick two people. Some people are going to get left out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like Teeny was really pissed off. I think I was just so surprised at like how pissed. I understand it's a very pivotal moment. You know, everyone's missing their family. You know, need some word of encouragement. You know, but yeah, I think I was really surprised at how upset she was.
Yeah, this was very, very interesting. So, a lot of things have come out, I think, from this, right? Like, this showed that as much as she is polite to Sam, he is just not her type of guy. Like, it is just, like, it's not prejudice. It's not, is it discrimination? I mean, to just not like someone because of how they look and how they,
Well, like a bias, I guess. You know, he probably.
yeah, I guess it's reverse prejudice because, you know, he being a white man, he just represents all the things that she feels she is against on an identity level. Being someone who identifies as being trans, other, and being, you know, what she considers in a minority and so on, being prejudiced her whole life. He represents someone that has had all the advantages and all the things that she doesn't have and has all the easy passes in life, but that's not necessarily the case, I don't think. I think obviously there is much more to Sam than meets the eye. Nobody is just what their identity politics say they are. So I felt bad for Sam here because I think he's shown himself to be a really nice, sweet guy.
He's actually had quite a good arc, I think, throughout the show. I
Yeah.
think when we first saw him in the first few episodes, he did come across as that very jockish, kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, haven't tried anything, you know, not
Sure.
like open-minded. But I think in this, where he actually picked Andy, that was a very nice gesture.
Yeah, and nobody likes to be reduced to their identity and to their, you know,
Appearance.
male age, their gender, age, race, you know, and just to be slotted into that demographic and to be typecast. Oh, he's a white male, so therefore he must vote for Donald Trump and like sports and like these things. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's so much more complex and open and wide than that. But obviously, I'm going to give Tinny a pass. I think she was just really upset about not getting that past us. So
and to
who
be
knows?
honest, we don't actually really know what happens on the island. So maybe there's like stuff that might have gone on between her and Sam. Maybe he might have made a careless remark about something or insensitive. We don't know. So I think.
Yeah, but I think she's just getting a little bit laser focused and
Yeah.
narrow focused here, and that could mess up her game because
Yeah.
she just wants Sam dead. I just want him dead. I want him dead. I want him dead. And she even says all this stuff like, I want him gone, I want him gone. I think, yep, you have a good plan, but I want to kill Sam.
Yeah.
She
yeah.
says stuff like that, which makes me think she's not really. She's letting her emotions guide her
Yeah.
a little bit.
And I think
which
at times
is,
it can maybe also feel a little bit like entitled, maybe the way she comes across.
yeah, I think the edit shows her saying a few things that are just a little bit unflattering as to her perspective. She's losing it, losing her grip on what's fair, maybe a little bit.
And
yeah.
like, listen, like it happens to all of us. You know,
No.
when we get upset, you know, we are all not at our best. So I think this was maybe Teeny's
not her greatest moment
not her
in the
greatest
edit.
moment, but it's a real moment. Like, I mean, something painful is going on there.
Well, I adore her. I
Yeah.
think she's great. I've always been a fan of Teeny. I think she is still in one of the leading contenders to win the show. But this edit made her look did her a little dirty, but
you need that for drama.
it makes me like her even more in a way.
Yeah.
Because she's willing to be so open, honest, and vulnerable
Yeah.
and show what she truly feels. How hard is it to be honest
That's
and to
hard.
say, I
On
really
camera.
don't like Sam.
Oh my god.
I don't like this guy because he's a male, and like, good on you for saying it, you know, and it takes real courage
I would
to
find that
stand
very
to your
hard to say
convictions
on
and
camera.
to stand true to your emotions. So, whew.
Okay, so shall we go on to the main thing, which is Operation Italy?
Yeah, okay, and so we get to reward, and
Yeah.
we see the sanctuary again, which has been a place where they all go to from time to time now.
Yeah, so this I think is quite different from Australian Idol because I think when
Australian Survivor.
Australian Survival, yeah, because I think they only go to the sanctuary maybe once
Once.
in the season.
They are
but
hitting
then-
up the sanctuary
yeah,
time and time
but
again.
I think in America they go there almost for like every
Where
reward.
good
So
things
that's
happen.
a little bit different for me when I watch US Survivor.
Good things happening all the time. Not that good things. I don't know. I feel like, firstly, the Italian food looked okay. All good. Sam hasn't tried tiramisu. Bizarre. How could you not have tried tiramisu? Point 3. There's always an idol in these places, and I'm surprised they didn't scramble looking for an idol clue or something. I thought there was going to be there, but the fact they didn't show us that was a bit weird. Instead, obviously, what we focused on was Operation Italy and
Andy's
Andy's
plan.
great
Yeah.
plan. This is a great plan. Fantastic. So the gist of it
Okay,
is...
can I just ask, do you think Andy would have done this if he hadn't gone on the... Do you think he would have flipped if he hadn't gone on the reward with Sam and Genevieve?
Oh, good question. I think it would have been hard to do this because this needed real time planning and time.
Yeah.
And this made... When someone goes on a challenge overnight, that bond that's formed is really strong. We've seen in the past. That's often enough to make people flip from their alliance. The time that you spend is critical. Yeah. Which is interesting because when Teeny didn't get picked, she goes, oh, he expects me to stay here and flip these other two people to his alliance. She made it all about herself, which was interesting. Rather than realizing that Genevieve needed that healing time away, Andy needed that healing time away, and Sam was just seeing that they were on the bottom and that they needed to be away and have some time to heal, and that was that.
So.
It wasn't about anybody else other than them.
Yeah.
So, okay, the plan hinges on 3 things, right? Making
An
an idol, which, okay, let's talk about the idols for a second. I feel like the idols are so trash and so easy to make now that production is intentionally making crappy market store idols
Out of just like wooden beads,
beads and shoestrings to allow people to fake idols, which makes it a very cheap and easy process. You know, in the past we've seen idols made out of bird skulls, carved out of wood,
with
real
feathers,
idols.
like really
Like-
something. Yeah.
I've got a bunch of idols here that I've just picked up from my wardrobe. Idols, guys. These are like, come on, man. You can find these at any thrift shop or hobo Soho market, and like, you know,
And
like
I think they each wear like a wooden beaded necklace already,
Yeah.
which look like it's like part
Genevieve
of an
looks
idol.
like she was wearing 4 idols to begin the show.
Yeah,
And
she
they're-
had one on her wrist.
like a beaded wristband, they're just so easy to craft, so easy to
Yeah.
make, that it's just an obvious lure from the show and production to say, hey, make your own idols, guys. This is now part of the show. It's no longer a difficult part, it's just a part of the show.
Yeah, and I feel
Make
like I
it, fake
prefer it when the idol is actually something very different, where he
Yes.
actually needs time and skill, you
For
know,
sure.
or like you know, to actually make it. But when it's just like a tiny beaded thing that, you know, my niece or nephew could make, you know, it kind of, I guess, deflates the impact of an idol, I think.
Yeah. And so, like, we see, you know, that's part one, okay, of Operation Illy. Part two is to get them, with the idol, to split the vote so that they flush the idol. So having a 3 vote and a 2 vote, rather than just dumping all 5 votes on Genevieve, they split the votes so that the idol gets flushed and then they go to a re-vote. This is a pretty good move, but it's obvious, okay? Because when Andy comes back, this is why I was disappointed that they didn't read this. Everyone is saying, what a great move this is. When a player comes back to camp after spending overnight at Sanctuary, first of all, that's a red flag, okay? This guy may have flipped. We have to keep an eye on him. Okay, number 2 is when they insist on being on the majority of a vote split. That's the other red flag, okay? And that means that they want their vote to be the flex vote and that they are likely to swing, or they want the option to swing. Otherwise, they wouldn't give an F what side they were, whether they were the 2 or the 3. But if they want to be in the majority, and this is what George knew about Simon in Australian Survivor, as soon as he kept on pushing that he wanted to be on that majority flex, I got him, he said. And I'm amazed that none of these players read that they didn't. This was obvious to me. That, like, Andy coming back and saying, hey, we need to split the votes, I need to be in the 3. I would have read that. And I'm just like, you guys are not that great at Survivor reads. Caroline, Sue, Rachel, and Teeny, they should have read that, seen that. So although this was a good move, it could have been even greater if it was counted the other way and they dumped all 4 votes on Genevieve without Andy knowing, and that would have been even better. Chef's kiss. But
yeah.
So yeah, good move by Andy, but
really good move. And I think it's been, I feel like this season there hasn't been, like, maybe it's the first good move.
Yeah.
I think the only other move before that was, okay, maybe there was like the blindside on Gabe, like, you know, but blindsides, they kind of tend to be quite common.
Yes.
There's not like a big, you know, like whereas this one I felt was actually well planned out. There was actually, they had planned to like make a fake idol.
Yeah.
Everyone had to act, you know, like different.
True. They even cut it together like a Soderbergh. Steven Soderbergh film, like Ocean's 11. They had a name for it. They tried to make this as iconic as they could, like all the iconic moments in Survivor. And I have to give it to them. It's probably the best move of the season. And Andy owns it now. And it is a massive move for his resume. It might be the defining move of the season.
Yeah, I think so. I think, to be honest, like, that was the defining move of the season. You know, I haven't actually really seen, like, really any big, In
Australian Survivor, we see, like, 5 of these a season. Where it's just, you know, blindside, lying here, traps here. Because the gameplay relies so much on social interactions rather than idols and advantages. So we're kind of used to more like moves like this. I'm surprised that it's taken this long for something like this to happen.
Yeah, and even like with people saying, oh, Rachel's like a big threat, she hasn't orchestrated any move. She's just kind of like got by, and she's got like advantages and an idol, but that's not actually...
It's not resume.
Yeah, it's not like something that you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to put a plan into action.
Yeah, no real agency and intentionality behind a move to say, I'm going to target this person, I'm going to dummy this, I'm going to fake that, and I'm going to get that person out successfully. I think the biggest moves of the season belong to Genevieve getting Soul getting out Rome, although that was a battle, that was quite obvious, and this one. This is an iconic move. I think this was an iconic move. If any of the players get re-invited back to a Survivor 50 or whatever it is, I think Andy may get the vote because of this move.
Yeah, definitely he'll get invited back.
Yeah, because this was great. Okay, like, just because we have been starved of great moves up until this point. Yeah. And so
I think what you said, like, you know, I think it's a really, really good move, but maybe out there compared to like all the other moves that have happened like across the whole of Survivor history, maybe, you know, it's not the...
No, people are comparing it to the Black Widow Brigade for like, come on, man, stop. Let's not carry it away. It was a great move, Andy. By far the best move of the last season or so. But I also feel like the Underdog Alliance played into it quite a lot, and there was something to be said of their gameplay that they should have seen this coming and countered it.
Yeah. Or maybe at least raise the possibility. It was like, oh, what if Andy had flipped? Like,
what
you know,
like, you know, he's talking about... I thought his performance was okay, but he comes back saying, oh, they wine me, they dine me, they think that just some pasta is enough to get me to flip. It is. I thought it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I thought he wasn't making eye contact. I thought his performance was pretty... But, you know, they were complacent. And I think that's the downfall of maybe Teeny's, Caroline's, and Sue's games. Okay? My criticism of their game to this point has been... It's been a little bit passive.
Yeah, he's been quite passive, I think.
It hasn't been aggressive and active. And when you are passive, you allow these moves to happen to you rather than directing the course of the game.
Yeah.
You are the ship rather than the ocean.
Yeah.
And so, I found like this was going to happen.
Well, I'm sure they didn't come on to pre-Survivor. They didn't think that was the game that they were going to play.
No.
But sometimes you just don't know, like, how you're going to play until you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
we get to...
Okay, wait, so hold on. How do we feel about looking... How do we feel about players looking in other people's bags?
I don't like this, man.
Because I feel like I have a problem with that. I don't think I've seen it before in Australian Survivor.
I don't like this. I think there should be a rule against this. I get now why players take their bags everywhere they go. I would have it harnessed to me all the time. I feel like this is bad sportsmanship.
Yeah,
but we've seen it happen a couple of times.
Feels a bit like cheating.
It feels a little bit cheaty.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and now you have to be doubly aware of what you put in your bag, what you plant in your bag.
I think you should have, and I think everyone should have like a safe space, which is their bag, of what they keep inside.
Man.
Because otherwise, like, you know, everyone can just go through your bag and to see if you have an idol.
I don't like it.
You know, and maybe that's why they made the idol so easy to, like, you know, to hide. It's just a bracelet. You can just put it anywhere on you. I don't know.
But it's not a faux pas. We see Sue going through, and Caroline, Sue being lookout and going through it, looking in Genevieve's bag. And so Rachel wins immunity. Let's talk about Rachel winning immunity for a second. She has become the challenge beast.
Yeah.
And she is a real problem for these other people because everybody wants to get rid of her, but she refuses to lose. And yeah, she's really good at these challenges. She's good at puzzles. She's got good balance, patience, athleticism. If Sam isn't there, I don't see how any of these other four can beat her at any of them. Maybe Sue, if it's a like a balancing type ball challenge.
Well, we've actually seen Rachel like actually outperform Sue in terms of the balance games.
Maybe it's you know, Kyle was meant to be this big challenge beast, but maybe it's Rachel that ends up getting these records.
Yeah.
Because now she's got 2. She only needs 3 more, and she joins all-time Survivor history. And yeah, it's impressive. So anyway, so Rachel wins immunity. Everybody's plans go out the door for Operation Italy, and now they have to pivot. Who else are we going to go for? They go for Caroline, it seems. And they need to sell, but Teeny is so obsessed on Sam.
Yeah, she is
still has this obsession about Sam. Like,
well, I guess maybe for her, she really wants it to be her move because she's kind of been left out of the vote like all season. You know, she's getting triggered by Sam, so she's probably like, oh, hey, here's my chance. I really want it to be Sam. I want this to be my move. I want to own this. You know, I'm really pissed off. You know, I'm really irritated, and I just cannot stand having Sam in the camp one more night. Poor
Teeny. I know, because it's not going to happen for her. We go to Tribal, and Teeny talks about a hierarchy, about how, like, there's a hierarchy in the tribe. And this is where I think Andy had to do this move.
Yeah.
Like, Teeny is hinting very clearly and obviously that there's a hierarchy between the Underdog Alliance that Andy is clearly at the bottom of. So Andy's either going to be at the bottom of a 5 with 4 other women.
Yeah.
Or, and then therefore he's the next one out. Or he stays with this group of 3 and he can repivot himself to be a meaningful member of an alliance of Teeny, of Genevieve and Sam. So I think this was the right move for him to make.
Yeah, definitely.
I just think that he needed. We'll talk about the next episode, but now he needs to really protect himself after this move. And you protect yourself by having an idol, winning challenges, or creating a relationship on the other side that is strong, that allows you to do that. We'll see if he can do that, but now he's in trouble.
Yeah, he is, yeah. How do we feel about... Okay, so we see the votes get counted out, So Genevieve obviously doesn't play her idol because it's a fake idol.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we think about Sue's idol so far?
Oh, this has been terrible gameplay, I think. Like, firstly, she didn't tell anyone about it that could have given her some kind of advice as to how to play it, enabled trust, because I just think now was the time to play it.
Yeah.
I think this was... Caroline's in trouble. When you see that... Okay, when Genevieve doesn't play her idol, something must have twigged onto her that someone has flipped.
Yeah. And I know, like, in the episode, she did say to Caroline, okay, I want to play my idol for you, but Caroline kind of, like, talks her out of it. But, like, I think at this pivotal moment, when
this was the
Genevieve...
time.
Yeah, when Genevieve actually didn't play her idol...
Because, you have to assume something is going on. Your spider senses must think, okay, Andy may have flipped. They've gotten us to split. Okay? All it takes is one person out of all these people to turn and we're effed. That surely must have been playing on people's minds, which is what's so frustrating about this for me. Because everyone's talking about what a great move it is on Andy's part and Sam and Genevieve, which it is, but the lack of gameplay awareness on the Underdog Alliance is so frustrating because all you are is one vote away from being effed. And that idol could have been so good right now. It would have made a star counterplay by Sue. She had that move. She didn't use it for Caroline. And even if she was going to play it, I think she would have played it for herself.
Yeah, so I'm going to get this. I think I've got this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I've always thought, okay, I don't think Sue would play it for anyone but herself. Because in the past, I mean, there have been times when Gabe has kind of been, like...
Vulnerable,
Vulnerable. She could have played it for Gabe. I mean, there was, I think, an episode where Gabe and Genevieve were talking and they're like, okay, it's between you or me.
Yeah.
So Gabe knows, but Sue has
didn't
never...
help him out.
Yeah, didn't help him out.
And that was meant to be her son.
Yeah. Well, she didn't also tell Gabe that she has an idol.
Yeah.
She didn't tell Caroline that she has an idol. Caroline actually has to go to her and say, oh, hey, I know you have an idol. But I don't think she was ever intending to tell Caroline.
I know.
Yeah,
true.
So even when she says, okay, I could play my idol for you, but at the last minute she doesn't, I felt like it's just talk maybe, like she was never intending to play it.
Bit disappointing. Because I think Sue's gameplay is all about self-preservation. Like
she loves it when other people tell her that they have an idol because she's like, oh my god, that's the ultimate trust.
And I think her gameplay is predicated on keeping a low profile, winning challenges when she can, but otherwise agreeing with people here and there, not causing too much of a fuss, but not really actively making aggressive moves to target people. We didn't find out till later how much she hated Kyle. She could have targeted Kyle so many times and pushed a group to get rid of him, used her idol, for example, and really claimed a move. And here, she could have saved Caroline, really controlled the alliance. The pattern was, that when there are any alliances or duos left in the game, they were getting got, As soon as Merge came, Sierra went, who was Sam's number one, Sol, who was Teeny's number one. Any duos that were gone are getting clipped off. And that should have been a pattern that was pretty obvious because Sue would have said, hey, Caroline and me were a duo. We must be next. What is happening subconsciously are people are trying to even the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just what's happening. You know, Caroline was the next Carl, obvious. If Rachel wasn't, and so it was a move that was there.
At least, if she played it, let's just say, okay, maybe I don't want to play it for Caroline. Maybe I think I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
She could have even just played it for herself, but at least I think it would have shown that she did think that maybe something's up.
Yes.
They're targeting either Caroline or me then, since Rachel was,
Missed
but I think that was a missed opportunity, and I just thought, okay, I feel like, in the episode, Sue did say that she was going to play the idol. But when I look back at all her past, she's never actually initiated. I think she just doesn't either. I don't know. Doesn't have the spiderly senses or something.
Let's hope she does something in the next episode or two. We've
we know what happens.
But no spoilers. And so a bit of a bummer because we just want action. And so what happens next is obviously Caroline goes home.
What do we think of her game so far?
She was an interesting player, a lot of character, charisma. I feel like it was just a game that was waiting to do something but never quite actuated in an actual move.
Yeah, I think so. Well, which is what we've talked about. Like, I think no one has actually really made a move except like Genevieve, Andy,
Sam now.
Yeah.
And I feel like, do players need to be on the bottom for them to be compelled to make a move? Or is it just people just cruise along and then they celebrate at getting at final 3 when they've done nothing?
Well, I guess actually, in Caroline's defense, she did kind of like played in that blindside against Gabe.
Yep.
So that was,
Oh, yeah, true.
So she was kind of like the swing vote. Oh, was she? Yeah.
Yeah, she has done a few things, but I think she can be proud of her game.
Yeah, she can be proud of her game.
She got quite far. She's gotten to jury. And, as she said, she wanted to be proud of the game that she came on. She wanted to play, I think, an honourable game. Have good relationships.
Yeah, which
she has done. And
she's, dreamt of being on Survivor ever since she was 5 years old.
Is she an all-star? Probably not.
No, probably not. Yeah.
But I really liked the way she went out and was just like, good game, guys.
I think she was definitely like
done.
surprised, like, when her name came up, and it's like, oh, but she pivoted very fast.
Yeah.
She was a very good sport about it. I like that.
That's just class.
Yeah.
Like, I could never do that. I would just get triggered and get angry, but she shook everyone's hand, hugged everyone, was like, oh, good game. Okay, guys, well done. And that's the way you want to go out.
Yeah,
so
I think
that
so.
comes... Is there anything else about Operation Italy that we were going to talk about?
No, I think that's it. Well, we've got 2 more episodes to talk about.
This is meant to be a short ep, but we ended up banging on in 40 minutes, so we're so sorry.
We just like talking about Survivor sometimes.
We cannot shut up. Okay,
guys,
thanks, guys.
We're gonna wrap up, and thank you for listening to the show. This is the Recreate Reality Podcast by Michael and Teresa. You can find us on Recreate on TikTok and Instagram. That's WRECK.CREATE, where you can watch funny short clips of what we've talked about. If you like what you hear, be sure to like and subscribe to our pod. It really helps us a big deal. We are extremely grateful for any support you give. We will be back shortly with the next episode, so stay tuned.
Bye, guys.